All right, I'm live. How you guys doing? Cheers. I got some grape juice. So I was on the Discord a few minutes ago, and they used their persuasive powers, and they said, Stef, are you going online tonight?
All right, I'm live.
Whoa, hold on.
How you guys doing? Cheers.
I got to mute that. Give me a
Got some,
second.
grape juice.
Okay. All right, I had to take care of that. I had this. There's always a delay. There's always a delay. Hey, how are you? I want Ban. I'm going to give you Banhauer. Can I make you... I got to make you a moderator there, Matthew. I don't think I can do it through the software, unfortunately. All right, I'm ready to ban, though. So, yeah, what I was saying, I was on the Discord channel, and they used their powers of persuasion to have me come online. So I decided to come online. I'll answer a few questions. I'm doing very good. How is everybody else doing? So let me just show you. Let me show you a desktop here. Look at this. Look at our Discord. It's about barely 3 days old. Over 526 members and growing. So it's pretty cool. We're still working out the details about the different rooms and so on, but it's a lot of fun. We got a good group on there. Yeah. So there's the Discord channel for you. So let me get this out of the way. Yeah, here's the juice. Grape juice, of course. It's always good to relax. Dave Love will not be banned. You're safe. You're safe. Hey, how are ya? Where's the juice? You saw the juice. Hello, hi, how are you? How's everybody doing? That was me, Stef. It was. Oh, there you go. Well, you're very, very persuasive. Hey, the East Coast sounds and video are good. Yeah, that is the East Coast of Maine. Maine is one of my favorite places, actually. Yeah, there you go. Well, we all know who's dead inside. I hope you do better. I hope you do better. Nothing better. You know what you need? You need to go do Lizard Wizard Komodo, my free training, mental training. It will help you out, make you happy. Spread love, not hate. What are we doing? Hey, Scotty, how are you, man? Oh, thank God. I had a question that was burning in my mind all day today. Yeah, we'll ask away. We'll get to it. Nothing better than refactoring some code while listening to Stefan's streams. Very good. So, yeah, so I'm pretty happy. The Discord is been up a relatively short period of time. And we got a pretty good group there. Let's get it into view so we can see it. Desktop, ba-bang. Here we go. So here it is. Got the lounge going on. It's a lot of fun. Right now in the Discord, we have 83 people live. A whole bunch of people just joined recently, and we're doing pretty good. So we're going to develop this more and more over time as more and more people join. I've never used Discord before, so I'm just getting a feel for it, but I've had some very helpful members helping out the 169-year-old developer understand what's going on. So yeah, thanks to that guy Jamal. He's been very useful amongst others. So yeah, I invite you. Link below. Just join the Discord, join a group. We'll be doing more here, and you can get to know each other's. I did a survey recently, and in the survey, what did I find in the survey? I found this is interesting data here. You guys might find interesting. There it is. So if you look, we had 2,500 votes, or closer to 3,000 votes. 80% of the people at least who answered this poll, which I would imagine is representative to 2,000, 3,000 people, they know how to code to a certain extent. But don't worry, if you're a total noob, that's fantastic. Better to be in an environment where you got people with some skill. So that's pretty good. I like that. So I'll answer a few questions, and we'll take it from there. Let's see. If you like this stream, by the way, give me a thumbs up. It's always good for the Google algorithms. What's going on here? Where's the juice? Got to that. I'm just getting into place here. Doing good, Stef. I'm glad. Have you watched the documentary Fantastic Fungi? No. Is that about the psychedelics, I would imagine? Productivity only says, love the community on Discord. Yeah, it looks like it's a good group we're building up here. So it's pretty, cheers to the group. And thanks to everybody helping me out, sort of get my head wrapped around that. Discord message every second. Can't keep up all day. Is it that busy? I haven't looked at the stats. I haven't looked at the stats, so that's cool. Working hard on Wagtail code today. Very cool. You must be getting pretty close to Matthew to scoring that job. Hey, Aldebert, greetings from the UK, 3:27 a.m. Wow, you're up late. Thanks for joining the stream. Online game, yes. Okay, we'll answer a question. Alan says, I currently have a development job. My boss is encouraging me to go to school to get a CS degree. Is it worth the time and investment? Well, ask your boss, like, what advantage within that environment will you get by getting the degree? See what he says. If they're going to pay for it and you can handle it, why not do it? For sure. Are you happy? I'm in a pretty good place. I'm in a pretty good place. A little tired today. I've been very busy wrapping up the school year, and I'm doing big renovations on my kitchen back here. I finally made a decision on the cabinet contractor. What a big headache. Next time I buy a place, I'm going to make sure all the kitchen is already done. Can you help me understand life? Yeah, just go to Lizard Wizard. That's going to give you all the answers. I'll show you what that is. That's why I put it together, because I realized people needed this. So let me just jump into it real quick. So what you want to do, well, I'll just start here. So first of all, if you're new to code and you want to understand the different languages, Python, PHP, JavaScript, Perl, C++, C#, Java, how they fit into the real world of work, just go, all the links are below, by the way. Just check out the CODER'S Career Path webinar, 29-minute video lesson. It's going to help you understand this so you can start getting a feel for the different languages out there, how they affect work. Finally, if you want to understand your brain, this is free, this one here, Lizard Wizard Komodo. You're going to start getting what I call the daily, or not daily spells, but they're spells. Every 3 days you get a new training, help you train your brain, your mind. It's based on the Lizard Wizard course, which I highly recommend. And in fact, going forward, at the suggestion of people like Matthew, who are part of my mentoring group, they suggest that people do Lizard Wizard first, and I would agree. Lizard Wizard is going to help you understand your brain. It's going to change your perception of reality, and will help you learn more quickly and more easily. It will help you become a better developer faster. So check that out, Lizard Wizard. So that's what you need if you want to be happier. If you want to understand life too, Lizard Wizard is going to help you understand how things work in the real world. A lot of good information there. A lot of good training. You can take a screenshot here if you want. So that's my suggestion to you guys in that regard. All right, let's get to some more questions. Discord has some awesome bots you can write in JS and or Python. Yeah, here, I have yet to explore bots. I installed one bot, but I'm barely making use of it. Again, I was suggested this bot, and there's much more I have to learn about it. But we'll be upping that that server to make it the best coding server in the world. We'll try to do that. How are the 2 to 3 small projects integrated into a company's existing website? Would you have access to their existing code base in order to integrate it into what they have already? Well, the 2 to 3 free projects may be with 2 to 3 different companies, or it could be one company. How you integrate and so forth depends on the specifics of the job, and that's part of it. You got to understand, as a professional developer, you have to learn to communicate with the client, whether it be your boss or whether it be some outside client as a freelancer, etc. You have to learn to communicate the needs of the project, what they want, so that you can deploy properly. Case in point, a friend of mine, he has a business, a travel tourism business. He was telling me today what the frustration he's been having with his web developer. He hired a contract web developer to build out a new site for a new division of his business. and they've been having a terrible time with communications. A project that should have been done in like a few weeks is a couple of months now. And the big problem is, I was talking to him, the big problem is just bad communication. Just having, so that they can convey the requirements to the developer properly, so that people can understand what's going on. That's all. So, yeah, there you go. Yeah, how we doing? White or red grape juice? I always like red. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a big advocate of too much grape juice. You want to limit your grape juice. I may, only in the summer, warmer months, I'll drink grape juice and like. And so for me, a big grape juice, a big grape juice drinking, whatever, a quantity. There he is. A big quantity, maybe one bottle of grape juice a week. That's big for me. So, and if you find you're becoming addicted to it, or you find if you need your grape juice or anything else really, then you got to get away from it, because you don't want to ever become a slave to something, whether it be grape juice or whatever it is. You never want to become addicted to anything. So if you find yourself thinking about grape juice when you're not drinking it, or you feel this strong urge to get it, then you got to stop cold before it gets bad. That's it. Hey, Morpheus, how are you? Sup. How to tell a client don't want to work for them any longer? Just say you're busy. Say, dude, sorry, busy. Got priorities. I have other contracts. I'm booked, and I won't be free for at least another 6 to 8 months. I just can't do it anymore. There you go. Yeah, it's the best way to do it. It's a bit of a white lie, but it solves problems, or it prevents problems from occurring. We need to organize now: ranks, Gantt charts, punishments, insubordinations. That's it. Oh, small group tonight, only 48. All right, intimate stream. That's what happens when you start streaming at 10:30 at night, East Coast. They touch on psychedelics, mushrooms. Yeah, I figured out much. But it is more so about it's more about the nature of fungi and mushrooms and the process in the forest ecosystem. Ah, okay. Very cool. Yeah, very important. Is that on Netflix? Do you make more money as a back-end developer rather than a front-end? You will make more money as back-end probably, unless you're very, very talented front-end. Depending. Except maybe if you're working for a very large organization as a React developer or Angular developer or something. What should I learn if I want to work in automatic car? I'm not sure what you mean. Well, some nerds have overthinking sessions. That's also true. That's why I've done videos where I've gone through like the process that I use to sketch out an application. Well, any application has a user interface. So when you're building applications, you just want to quickly sketch it out from end to end. And you start with the views, first and foremost, the screens. And with the screens built and approved by the client, whether that client is your boss or some freelance client or yourself even, then from there, you're able to design your database. Most of the time, it's going to be an SQL-based database. And then with those two things done, you can start writing the code for your middle layer. This is what has worked for me since the 90s. In the old days, a lot of people would suggest you start with the object layer. To me, that's the last thing you do. I hope that makes sense. Are you a professor? I am Professor Stef, 169-year-old developer. I teach a lot. I actually provide a SaaS software, joking aside, that a lot of schools use around North America to teach code. So I help professors teach the subject. Stefan, make an advanced PHP course for those already who have experience in web developer. I will take your course when I get my first Rails job. There you go. PHP or Node, depends what you want to do. If you're a freelancer, PHP, Node, maybe for large organizations. How hard do you enjoy your grape juice, Mr. Man? On a scale of not 1 to 10, 7 on 10. I'm not a big grape juice drinker. Like in the winter time, I never drink. It's like I may have one bottle in the entire winter time. Summer a little bit more, but I go for craft beer more in the summer. So what else we got here? How we doing? All right. What is the alternative to documentation to learn very new things? That's a good point. Well, if you can't find any videos on it, then you just go to the documentation. If you're properly trained in your foundations, you should be able to learn it on your own. Or maybe some quick articles. Regardless of coding skills, high-value content is greater than low-value content. Yeah, for sure. At the end of the day, when I talk about these days, the difference between a successful application and a not successful application in terms of commercial success is the value of the content or the service that the application provides, not how clean the code base is, etc. It's really that. And that is largely affected by the perception of the value of the code base of the application, and the non-nerd user will value your application partly on how nice the user interface is and how easy it is to use. So smart companies know if they have a client-facing application, something with a view, they will invest heavily in UI and UX. UI and UX are related. That's user interface design and user experience design. They are related. They overlap, but they're not the same thing at all. User experience is designing a site or an application that's really easy to use, intuitive, and logical. Look at Google, not the very beautiful interface to say the least, or Craigslist, but it works really well because it's just easy. So it doesn't have to be aesthetic to be very usable. Anyway, so yeah. No. Is your grape juice ruby red? Always ruby red? Yeah, the ruby people are getting a bit of a punch in the chin this week due to some some controversy about what's it called again? I forget the company, the parent company. Okay, sounds good. So how the project gets delivered all depends on the circumstances and is figured out via good communications. Makes sense. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. 100%. As I teach in my freelance course, shameless plug, links below, I stress how important good communication is upfront with the client, so everybody knows what the expectations are. The success and failure of a project will many times come down to that. Will come down to how well you communicate with your client. So I bought a new light. No, here it is. I bought a new light here. It's so blurry though. And it's so blurry, unfortunately, that you can't see what it is. But it's a hashtag. It's a neon hashtag. Anyway, okay. How we doing? Full day. Isn't communicating with the clients and having a clear understanding of what needs to get done and design process of the software dev part? I'm not sure what you're saying. Please restate the question to full day. I am addicted to JavaScript. I have JS dreams. I can't connect with people because I only want to walk and talk JavaScript. Well, you can do that for a short while you become a master JSer. Finish your money course. I'm changing my life thanks to that course. Hey, Green Rye Films. I'm glad the money course helps. Good. Yeah, if you don't know, if you're new to my channel, this channel is about coding and software development, but that to me is the foundational skill set to setting up your life, because it's a very high value skill set that gives you a lot of opportunity and control in your life. And so you can take it from there into financial independence and so forth. So I've decided this year to release training based on all that. So I have my Lizard Wizard training, which trains your psychology, and I have my money course, which trains you how to, very simple lessons will teach you how to manage your money and put yourself in a good position in a very short period of time. Are there design principles you take into account when building a website for a client? Do aesthetics matter? Yes, they do matter. Big time. Big time they matter. You have to at least follow the basic principles of layout. And a lot of these principles are derived from book design, in fact. And, just alignment, white space, White space is the space between elements in your page, between your titles and your buttons. Don't have everything squished together. It's weird how the brain works. If you do the Lizard Wizard course, you learn how our brains basically perceive reality as a bunch of associations. Our brains are basically giant associative arrays, if you know anything about programming. And so when your eye sees a very jumbled, disorganized user interface, it will assume that the application is jumbled and disorganized and garbage. And this is lizard brain stuff. It's a subconscious thing. It's an unconscious process. So it's very important that you present a very clean user interface. No question about it. That's why look at Apple. Apple essentially has you can arguably a slightly cleaner user interface, slightly more aesthetic, and so they can charge a premium for that, and people pay for it. Whether or not you're an Apple fan, that's besides the point. The fact of the matter is, that's one of the main reasons why Apple is the biggest company in the world. So so it's such an important thing. Yeah. You're talking about self-driving cars, right? Python is a good language. Okay, yeah, okay. Good morning, Ancient Baba. How are you? Regular group. We need organizational charts, mission statements, floggings. Yes, floggings are always important. 35 years old, stuck in career, more than 12 years of experience. Any advice? Yeah, start learning to code on the side. Try to put aside at least 20 minutes a day. And slowly, if you do 20 minutes a day, 4 days a week minimum, but even 20 minutes a day, if you do it 4 days a week, you'll start to make progress. Because when you learn how to code and develop software for the first time, you're literally restructuring your brain. You're creating new wiring, new physical structures in your brain slowly. So you have to give your brain time to adapt to that, right? To change. So there's all these different things you can do. I teach, but yeah, just transition from the old career. Don't just drop it. You can transition slowly. Just do 20 minutes a night, and maybe when you're feeling good on a good night, you find you do an hour, maybe do an hour on Saturday, and slowly transition, because there's a certain lag time before your brain finally configures itself to handle the new way of thinking. And yeah, 35 years is still young enough easily to get into coding, especially if you get into the freelance game. What's the difference in coding and scripting? Scripting is a type of coding. In the old days, there was a distinction between a scripting language and a programming language. Today, it's a distinction without much of a difference. A scripting language was a type of programming language that worked within the context of another app, whereas a proper programming language like C, C++ could compile and create their own apps. Now this has blurred and blended because so many apps are made with so-called scripting languages, including Python. You could argue that Java and C# are scripting languages because they do compile down to another language that runs within an application that processes that language. So it's a distinction without a difference. So coding is also a broader term. You can code in many different types of computer languages. HTML is not scripting, it's not programming, but it is a computer language. It's called a markup language. And it is coding, even though it's not programming. And there's other languages like that as well. I wouldn't get too caught up with it. It's not that important. And you probably are a little confused right now, but that's okay. Link below. Take my WebStack courses. All this will become super easy to understand. Where do you get your grape juice? I get it at the local grape juice store. Because I live in communist Quebec, all the grape juice stores are controlled by the government. Is that true? No, it's not true. You can get grape juice in all the stores. So I take that back. Yeah, it's just whatever. Hey, Hologram, how are you? Hologram, he knows that's the nerd symbol, by the way. You know, secret societies have secret handshakes, secret hand symbols. If you can do this instantly, that means that's a sure sign you're in the nerd group. If you can do double barrels instantly like this, then you're a 10th power nerd. So Hologram has it wisely in his emoji there. How many hours do you have to dedicate per day to be a good programmer? Well, when you're first starting out, I recommend 20 minutes a day minimum. I recommend maximum of 3 to 4 hours a day, maximum, because your brain will work at peak efficiency for about 3 to 4 hours a day. I know this. I was my major in university was psychology. I'm not a psychologist though, but it was my major, and I know that the brain, most people can peak performance for about 3 to 4 hours a day, and then after that, your cognitive skill just whoop. So you might as well just do the maximum 3 to 4 hours, and then do some more relaxed work and let your brain a little rest. It's kind of like training at the gym. Hey, Bailey, how are you, man? I hope everything is good. I hope you joined the Discord. You got the Discords. Look at the link below. Yeah. See, how's this? How are we doing? There's people on that Discord right now. Yeah, we got some activity going on there. We got some activity. See, we got a few people who join. That's cool. What are we up to now? Desktop. So here's the Discord. Yeah, so we had these people just join. We have over 500 people who joined the Discord now. We got a bunch of channels. We'll be expanding upon this. Had some good help with some people like the guy Jamal was very useful. Very helpful. All right, let's go on. I'm building my apps full time now. The nonprofit did not pan out. That's no problem. You know, when you're in the freelance game, or you're looking to get a job, or you're building your own software, it's like dating. You're going to have a lot of misses. And the key is just to keep working. That's all. I'm addicted to Studioweb. I think that's okay, though. Of course that's okay. I'm a big fan since day one, 138 years ago. Amateur programmer here. I'm starting the concept process for a simple desktop app, mainly for Windows, but never touched DBs. Any recommendations? Thank you. Well, you're probably going to do .NET. .NET will work with Microsoft SQL Server. So you probably just want to go with SQL Server. See what the .NET community says about that these days. SQL Server is very powerful. I've used it in commercial work in the past. I'm getting my Linux admin cert and my cloud native certification, maybe the Android certification, developer certification. Very cool. What's going on with the Ruby controversial? It's not Ruby specifically. It was Basecamp. There we go. So the people who basically built Rails, they have a company, and they have some fairly successful products that a lot of companies use. And there was some internal politics or something. I don't know specifics. And so I think a third of their employees left the company or something. So I don't know much beyond that. But so the Rails, I caught some chatter somewhere, I forget where, but the Rails people are getting a little nervous because Basecamp is basically in charge of Rails, as far as I know anyway. As I know, technology is innovating very fast, so my question is, how often SE replace their laptop with new one? You don't need to do it, software engineer. You don't need to replace it too fast, because the technology that's changing now is server side. It is VPSs, DevOps. DevOps is actually starting to hit the simplification cycle now. You can write fantastic software with a 5-year-old laptop. You don't need to buy a new laptop. You don't, unless you're maybe doing something very specialized. I don't know. But what, maybe AI programming or something. But these days you can use a 5-year-old laptop and you can write the next billion-dollar company. So I wouldn't worry. Don't go out there, especially if you're tight for cash. Don't go out there and spend a ton of money on a brand new laptop. You don't really need it. You are a web developer. No, you are an artist. Okay. Hey, Control-Alt Supermere. Hey, Stefan, what illumination do you use in your videos? It looks amazing. Thank you. Well, I have a few lights. I got my overhead Philips lights. I got a professional softbox there. What I'll do is, you can look in the, I don't know if I'll put it in my description next video. I'll put the lighting I'm using to light the video. The key to great video, and video is my hobby, the key to great video is very good lighting. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points of light, or specifically set in, so that it looks good. And then I got the overhead lights as well. Like I'll show you one light I have here. There it is. There's one light. There, hold on. There we go. This is it here. So watch how, see like this is kind of boring because it's flat. So I change it a little bit. That's no good either. Hold on. There we go. So you got to play with your lighting. It's the art of nice cinematography is lighting. Again, just like with software development and coding, the key is the fundamentals, right? So yeah. So as a result of my great lighting and a good lens and a camera, I got the best live bokeh game on the YouTubes, right? Doesn't get any better. Look at this. Boom. Out of focus. Focus. That's what I live for. Stef, I'm trying to purchase Lizard Wizard, but I don't let me use. Yeah, you probably purchased a course on the Killer Sites store, the old Killer Sites store, and we made a design decision with that, but causes a conflict between people who bought from the old Killer Sites store. So what you need to do, you probably have a Studioweb account where you put your email address. That's the conflict. So go log into Studioweb, your Studioweb training account. Remove your email address from that old account which you bought from the Killer Video store. And then you'll be able to buy with that email address. Or you can just use another email address. Yeah, sorry about that. It's a weird conflict. We didn't expect so many people from the Killer Video store. I guess I should have in hindsight. So that's what it is. So that's all it is. Scotty says, Stef, you have worked as a freelancer for years. Can you apply for senior dev job at a company? If you have worked, yeah, if you got a good track record, why not? For sure, 100%. You'd be very valuable, especially if you got some good names. When I had done my freelance, I had a lot of opportunities to go. If I wanted a job as a senior dev or whatever, it would have been no problem, because I had worked for some high-profile clients like Avantis and Merck and others. And yeah, there's nothing like a real-world portfolio for to be able to land a job, you know. All right, let's go on. Hey, Stefan, why do many schools teach pseudocode as a prerequisite to code? Seems like actually coding is ideal. Many uni beat math to death. ADA and ETH creators were dropouts. Yeah, I'll tell you what happens with that. I have friends who are professors at universities. A lot of the curriculums in universities are there because the teachers want to teach that. That's it. That's all. And it doesn't have anything to do with practicality. I can tell you, I've been a developer since the 1990s. Unless you're doing a very specialized type of programming, game engine development or AI development, math is practically non-existent in software development. Let me say that again. Math is practically non-existent in software development unless you're doing very specialized type of development that 99% of developers don't do, or maybe 96%. If you're doing business development and so forth, the math you're going to need to do, add and subtract, occasional multiply and divide, that's pretty much it. So they put in math prereqs because the professors want to teach math. That's what it comes down to. Unless you're going into something specialized like AI or operating system development, maybe something like that. Ask any experienced developer. I recommend, I don't have the books with me here. If you look below, if you want to up your game, if you're like somebody who's coded a little bit, you're comfortable with JavaScript or Python, whatever, C++, whatever you're comfortable with, or you're getting your head wrapped around, you're starting to be able to write code, you should get the refactoring books down below. What separates the great developers from the not so great developers in the real world of software development, in most type of software development, is refactoring skills, which is the ability to clean up code, make it nicer, and understanding design patterns. And I'll throw in communication skills. If you got those three, you're going to be the rock star developer. The exception is if you get into AI development or maybe game engine development, which is it's niche stuff. This stuff, maybe some big data analysis or something. That's where some algorithms and math may come into the situation. But that's what I've seen over decades of experience now. And I have a friend of mine. He's a former Studioweb student and mentee of mine. He's a part founder. He's one of the co-founders of Unicorn. They have, I think they're going to have 1,000 employees within a few months from now. Math? No. He's a neuroscientist, though, by training, before he came to me. So there you go. That's the answer to that question. Down with the SAQ. Exactly. SAQ is La SAC, Société Alcool Québec, the Society of Alcohol Quebec. That's the corporation, the Crown Corporation up here in Quebec, Canada, that basically has the, not quite a monopoly, but nearly a monopoly on the alcohol sales. Is there such a thing as a markdown developer? I don't know. Peace to my fellow nerds. Peace. Double barrels. You got the double barrels. Very good. Good. Do you think that Python is good for web development? Yeah, for sure. A lot of great applications, web apps have been developed with Python. In fact, again, a general principle, even though I make fun of Ruby as a joke, we're going to take it easy on the Ruby people because they took a punch in the chin this week, so we'll give them a little break. Actually, I had a guy complain to me. He suggested that because of my Ruby jokes, I was hurting the Ruby world in terms of Ruby development. I don't think I have that much control over the way that goes. But anyway, you can find great examples of great applications in any of the major stacks. So you can't really pick a wrong stack, right? You can find huge applications developed with PHP, WordPress.com, and Facebook. Great applications developed in Java, LinkedIn. Great applications developed with Python. I think YouTube is Python. Twitter, Ruby. So on and so forth. Node, I know Netflix uses Node. I'm sure there's some big ones using Node out there. So C#, of course, .NET. You can have all the MSDN platform and so on. So you can find examples of ultra successful implementations in almost any language. Even like classic ASP, which is ancient, which I would never use today. There's some hugely successful applications built with that, but are still running today. So, would you ever consider adding Studioweb framework course Laravel React? I'd rather learn from someone who actually knows how to teach. I haven't looked at that recently. Yeah. Maybe. I have so many things on my plate right now, but I haven't thought about that. I appreciate that, by the way. Thank you. Is Python the future and continuing to grow? Well, Python is either number 1 or number 2, so I don't know how much more it can grow. It's largely used as a supporting tech, and it's key to AI and data sciences. It's also used in web app development. You can't go wrong with Python. So don't worry about that. You can't go wrong with any of the top 10 languages that are out there. You just can't go wrong with them. Rephrase question. All right, let's try it again. I was saying software developers need to know software engineering to help them communicate with clients, since software engineering is all about designing and planning, right? Ooh. Well, software engineering is all about designing and planning 100%. But software engineers are famous for not being able to speak to non-engineers. So, yes, so yes and no to your question. Yes, it will help you with designing and planning and so forth. Software engineering is kind of higher level. But good communication skills are good communication skills, soft skills, as people say, and I highly recommend. If you know anybody who's an experienced developer, 5 or more years experience, ask them. What's more important, learning a new stack or learning to communicate better? What would help them more what would have helped them more in their career? And I can almost guarantee you they're all going to say communication skills. So there you go. Good question, by the way. Aldebert, how much time you need to stay away from code between 3 to 4 hour intensive work? In terms of effectiveness. Well, it depends on the individual, of course. Everybody's different. But I'm saying on a daily basis. It's been a long time since I looked at the study. Basically, I'm basing this particular statement I'm making, that 3 to 4 hours a day, on something I learned a long, long time ago in my psychology training, how our brains can work at peak levels and they can retain X number, it can retain a maximum amount of information and engage with it for 3 to 4 hours. This is very rough, basic. This is what I remember. I forget the detailed studies and so on. It's been 50,000 years since I looked at it, but it's still true today. And Studioweb is designed partly on that principle. That's why it's so effective. That's why I have a 98% retention rate with the schools, because they're blown away, frankly, about how easily people learn how to code with it and how quickly they remember. And one of the reasons, one of my secret sauces, is that I base it on my understanding about the psychology of learning. And in fact, that's a particular course I took. So 3 to 4 hours a day is a rough number. And after you've done your 3 to 4 hours, then do light work. And you just got to give your brain time to process all information. It could be 6 hours, could be 10 hours, who knows? Depends on you. Drink a lot of water, have some fat. Brain loves fat. And you just work it out, play with it, see how you feel, Think of it like people who train in the gym, bodybuilders. They got to rest in between heavy workout sessions, And like a bodybuilder who, when you're first starting out, you're going to have to rest more and you're going to train in a particular way. But as you become a much more advanced bodybuilder, they can train one body part on Monday and another body part on Tuesday and so on. And they have a much more advanced regime. Same thing with development as well. When you're first starting out, you're gonna need more rest, I think, and more downtime, because you're still reconfiguring your brain, if you will. So a lot more things are going on up there. And as you become more and more acclimated, if you will, to software development, as your brain becomes more, it bends to it, if you will, you'll be able to do more, and the rest periods will be smaller, just like anything else physical that you do. I hope that makes sense. Stefan, can you explain how to charge as a freelancer the 3 payment thing? Okay, so whatever you do when you're freelancing, you want to get some payment up front before you do any work. The big noob mistake is to do all the work before getting paid. So you got to get paid. There's 2 ways to get paid. You either get 50% up front, or you do what I think is better. It's called a 33 split. 33% when you sign a contract with them. They give you 33%, boom, check, cash, whatever it is. And before you've written one line of code, before you've done any major work for them. And that includes the detailed project assessments, because a lot of companies, they'll go out there and they'll have you do a bunch of work to assess what you suggest what you would do for their project, and then they'll take that information, and it's valuable, right? It's valuable. So I'm not going to get into too much detail here. You can check out my freelance course where I get into all the details about that. But essentially, before you do the main work, you want to get 33% up front. When you deliver the first draft, here comes the first draft. Let's say it's a website, and you're going to come with the first draft. based on the specifications they provided. Here's the first draft, rough first draft, so you can get their feedback. You get another 33% there. Why do you want to do that? Because what you're going to find after first draft to the second and third draft to get to that end, there's probably going to be a long delay, just because you're going to have to wait for information from the client, wait for feedback from the client. So when you do it this 33% split, where you get that last 33% when they sign off and you deliver the final website, the final web app, or the final Android app, whatever. When you deliver that first draft, what comes real quick, you can get that first draft out to them and get that second payment very quickly. All of a sudden you have 66% of the money. Nearly 70% is you've already been paid for. So what happens is your client is going to be much more motivated to want to answer your emails when you say, can you send me the images? Can you give me a comment on the screen, etc. Because they've paid nearly 70% of the bill already. So it's a nice motivator for them. And on the flip side, for you as the freelancer, by having that 66%, that nearly 70% in your pocket, you got 70% of the money, right? And to deliver that first draft, you're not even close to have done 70% of the work. So you're ahead. Because what you'll find as a freelancer, a lot of times projects will be stretched out. So one of the things I teach is that you got to have a few balls rolling, down the hill in terms of different clients, different projects. Because you're going to hit those periods where the clients are not going to deliver for 2-3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month, 2 months. And you're going to be sitting there like, I'm waiting for this dude or this dudette to come up with the material so you can finish the project. And what are you doing? Just sitting there. So you got to have multiple projects going. As I teach in that course, you got to have solid contracts with solid dates and expectations, so that, let's say they're supposed to deliver a bunch of photos and information to you by May 10th, and they don't by May 10th, and they come back to you on May 25th. Meanwhile, you have other projects going, and then when they come rushing back with the material 10, 15, 20 days, 30 days late, you say, listen, okay, I can't. You were delayed. You were supposed to deliver this by the 15th. I'm going to get to work on it, but you understand, because of, I have a life and I have other projects I'm running, we're going to be delayed a little bit. And by having solid contracts with set dates and so forth, it will allow you to manage the project so nobody gets angry, nobody gets pissed off, and you keep the ball rolling. So typically, as a successful freelancer, you could have several projects going at the same time as you wait for feedback from clients and input and so forth. So that's why that payment schedule of 33% split allows you to get the maximum amount of money quickly so you can move forward. I hope that helps. Trust me, this all works very well from personal. I came up with this decades ago, and it works very well. What's up? And it works in any type of freelance work, any type really. What's up, Stephen? I've been thinking about your job listing project. I'm available. Oh, very, very cool. Yeah, I just let you guys know. I've been approached by companies, and they see that I got a pretty decent sized audience, and we got a lot of people here know about code, so they wanted to advertise jobs on the channel. I did one for a friend of mine. He's a VP at an energy trading company, and if you saw a video I did a few weeks ago, I mentioned his job. So I might be doing more of that. I have to see. All right, Walter Acasio. Hey, Stef, total noob here. I took your complete web developer course and finished the foundation. Should I be learning frameworks right now? I'm planning to build an inventory system. Very cool. Okay, so you want to build your own private system. Yeah, what I would do now, if you like the PHP, as an example, I would just get into Laravel. That'd be one thing I would do. If you want to do Python Django. If you want to do Node, whatever. Yeah, definitely. If you're going to be building any substantial piece of software, you definitely want to be using a framework. So, and the back end is the first one I would go with, especially in that situation. Yeah, good luck with the project, and keep us in the loop with regards to how that's going. And if you have questions about that, don't be afraid to jump on the streams or join the Discord. Links below, and I'll see what I can do to answer you. Do you learn filmmaking from your YouTube channel, or do you create films outside of this? Did you learn filmmaking for your YouTube channel? Yeah, that's a good question. I learned filmmaking as a hobby. I also thought it would be a good skill to be able to speak well on camera, in front of a live camera like this. But it's been more of a hobby than anything else. I just enjoy it. Like, I'm doing this now for fun. It's just fun for me. So that's it. Of course, when the COVID lifts and I start dating again, there'll be less live streams, hopefully. No, I'll be live streaming. We need Stef merch store, the best Boca in the live stream game line. That's it. What can you do? That's why you got to spend 12 grand on the camera, just so you can go like this. Very important. Hey, it's not working now. Come on. All right. Stefan, I'm learning how to work with interfaces. Should I create an interface before writing code, or should I extract an interface after code is written? Doing the latter seems easier. Yeah, I think do that for now. With experience, you'll start thinking about you have a better idea of how to implement an interface. Interface is just a way of they call it the contract, right? You're creating the contract in your software. It's just a good way to organize, structure the code base. So yeah, whatever works for you, dude. Everybody's got different styles. It's a good question, though. Hello from Brazil, Stefan. Hey, how are you, man? Victor Augusto Lopez. I like your name. Any tips about how to keep coding job meaningful? I'm kind of losing hope in programming. I've been in a C# job for 4 years right now, working on an ERP system. Love your videos, man. Well, first, thanks for watching the stream. What I would do is I would start looking around, maybe see if you can find another job in a different sector where you can maybe make a move up, or maybe into another specialization. That works. It's very common for software developers to pivot from one area of coding to another. So maybe you're doing C# ERP, maybe you go into C#, maybe you'll find some gaming company working on the Unity platform or something. So I would start looking around. Don't quit the job, just start searching around. Try to find a job at another place of work where you're doing another type of coding. But I hear you, man. I feel for you. Yeah, it sounds to me like you might want to take a look at that. Zach Ficas. Tips on moving from semi-advanced support position to DevOps, API, etc. Currently finishing a CS degree while at work. Just start writing code, dude. Do a couple of freelance projects on the side. Just start writing code. How am I doing for time? It's an hour already. Wow. Is it possible to get into big tech companies like Amazon or Microsoft when I just graduated and have not much experience? If you're really good at what you do, Mr. Zhang, if you're very good at what you do, yes, it's possible. I had was he a student or a guy who worked for me? I forget. That's been so long. He actually just got plucked right out of university right into Microsoft. So it's doable. So have a great portfolio site. Let's see what we got here. Andy Rady Kurniawan. I'm facing trouble to get jobs because most Java jobs require knowledge in Spring. The place I currently work doesn't use it. Size. Well, start learning Spring on the side, dude. Half an hour every day. 4 days a week. Start learning Spring. Take your time. You don't want to ever burn yourself. It's like a sprint. You don't want to sprint and then gas out and then you're crawling the rest of the way. You want to do a light jog towards your goal. So you can do a little bit every day. So, but you should be able to get your head wrapped around Spring. Hey, Stefan, I have some exponential ideas. I guess that means exponential growth, which is good growth. I'm seeking partners, reaching out to you, a computer science student from California. Time is my problem now. But what I would do is, if I were you, I would start fleshing out the project. The more you can flesh it out and show people what it is you want to do, the better partners you might be able to find. And if you can flesh out something that's working and it's in a hot sector, you might be able to get some juicy VC money, venture capital money. And then you can supercharge your project. Thanks, Stefan. Learn more in your course than I did in college. Lizard Wizard is the next purchase. All right, SJ. Thanks for picking up the course. I'm glad it was helpful to you, and thanks for getting Lizard Wizard. I appreciate that. What form of martial art do you practice? I did many over the years. Like so many people my age, I started off with judo, and then I did a form of Japanese karate. And then I did Kyokushin karate, which is a hardcore karate. Then I did taekwondo. Then I did something called catch kembo. I've done freestyle wrestling, boxing, Muay Thai, a little bit of Filipino martial arts, some Indonesian martial arts. I did it for 30 years. Wing Chun, Kung Fu, Jeet Kune Do a little bit. I'm a black belt in something called, they call it catch kembo, but it's kind of a white crane derivative. Yeah, so I learned, I've done Aikido for a few years, et cetera. So, yeah. I recommend boxing, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, Judo if you're younger. Yeah, those are good. JKD is kind of cool if you don't want to go super hardcore, but it's pretty good. At the end of the day, you can find good fighters in any style. Well, not just about. It has much more to do with the quality of the teacher in the school and your own skill as well. I think the thing about math and the things like complicated ordering algorithms is that those are the choke points for most coders at work. So if you can handle that stuff like that, you can handle anything. Well, not necessarily. You can handle, yes and no, you can handle that type of coding. Being a great algorithm guy or girl is not going to make you a great architect of software. It's not going to make you great at designing a really good UI. It's not going to be great. It's not going to make you great at designing a good system. But it will be good at certain things, there's no question. And it will be an indicator of a certain level of a way of thinking. So if I was designing a gaming engine, or I needed to develop some really sophisticated, an AI, for sure, I would be looking at algorithm people. Is it hard to land Canadian tech companies after completing a bachelor's degree from other countries? No, as long as you can show the skills and you got good language skills, you should be okay. Just starting out web design, just finished a 6-week class in HTML. I think I'm getting addicted to coding. Any recommendations for good layout plans? Well, if you know your HTML, you got to go to CSS next. A smidgen of JavaScript. What I do is I just look up HTML templates or web design templates, responsive templates, and you can find all kinds of good stuff there, and you can start working off of that. Take a look below. I got some courses that may help you out. Math may not be needed in software development, but math is needed in software engineering. But is math? Well, if you want to get into it, you need the math. If you want to get into the programs, you do. This is a question of software development versus software engineering. Yeah. But, a lot of software engineers will just be developers in the end, Hey, Jay, have a good evening, Stefan. Oh, thanks for joining the stream. I appreciate it. Is Python slow? It's pretty slow, but it doesn't matter too much because hardware is so powerful now that speed is not going to have too much of an impact for most people. Do you touch type, Stefan? I'm in the opinion that it is mandatory skill to be among the elites. Oh yeah, you can't look at your keyboard and be coding, but that just comes. It's like, in fact, my fingers know where the keys are, but my higher brain doesn't not half the time. I couldn't tell you now which side of the keyboard A is, but I can type it out without looking. You know why? Because the tactile part of yourself, the motor skills, is controlled by the lizard brain, which is a separate operating system than the higher brain. They're separate. They're totally separate, in fact. You learn that Lizard Wizard. So yeah, tactilely, yes, you got to be able to, but that just comes with practice. You set your fingers on the keyboard and you look, and you have to discipline yourself for a few weeks to just type with all the keys. Don't be doing this, and you get far quick. What do you think about Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg? And how can I emulate their success as a software engineer? Listen, they're all the real deal. They're all the real deal. Musk is probably the most. He's probably the most nerd of them all, if you will, in terms of ability. But they're all very, very capable people. But intelligence is only part of the equation. To be a successful, to be at that level, like one of my former students, he's entering in that realm. He's a co-founder of a startup that's worth about $500 million now. And they're smart, but they're also very disciplined. And they also have a good, calm personalities, so they don't freak out. And these are all qualities of these type of uber successful people, and they're extremely dedicated, like workaholics. So you need all these elements. Please include subtitles. Well, this is a live stream. It's like, math may not be needed. Okay, we got that. What do you think of functional programming? Is it worth learning a language in depth, e.g. F# regards? If you have a demand for it, for sure, why not? But I'm not very knowledgeable about functional programming. I think that it's a niche language, not denigrating it, but I think that it's a niche type of programming rather. What do you think about cryptocurrency, and which ones do we invest in or mine? As a general rule of investment, when any asset class has done this, in terms of its value shooting up like crazy, I'd be very wary of jumping in. So I'm not going to give investment advice in terms of cryptos because I don't have a crystal ball. If you would have asked me 3 years ago that Bitcoin would be 50,000 USD, I would have said no chance. So who knows? But again, as a general rule of investment, this type of movement usually, you want to get into an investment when it's kind of stable, not when it's done this. I hope that makes sense. I'm imitating a chart. Don't forget to like the video, everyone. Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, give me the thumbs up. Yeah, give me the thumbs up. If you don't like my long hair, give me 2 thumbs down to show me how much you hate. I think I'm going to grow my hair out though. How would I connect HTML, CSS, JS to a database? Beginner. Well, you don't connect HTML or CSS. You could connect JS. You should do my full stack course. It will teach you everything about that. But you're getting there. You're getting there. Keep working at it, man. Good question. I found Stefan on Studioweb. You found me through Studioweb, really? Okay, cool. Good. How do I create my software project fast, find investors, build partners, and create my startup? Number one, you got to find a light and nimble language, a scripting language. So you would stay away from the Javas and the C#. You would move towards the JavaScripts, the PHPs, or the Python. And then you want to build your working prototype from A to Z as quickly as possible, meaning dirty code. When you're building an MVP, a minimum viable product, just something to show a proof of concept, you don't want to start writing rock solid code. That's not the time for it. When you're first doing your first iteration, it's about just getting it out quick so people can see it. And the only thing you should do is make sure it looks good and make sure it runs, like when when they click, it doesn't just fall apart. You don't want it to click and blows up when you're demoing it. But you don't have to worry about scaling and all this kind of stuff when you're doing your first iteration. You want to get a working project up fast so you can at least show people the proof of concept. You can show them what it is so they get an idea what you're looking to do. Even if you only implement 20% of the features that you envision, just get something working. And also it shows potential investors and partners that, hey, Mr. 22 here, he can actually execute, right? He can actually execute. When my friends were building up their business and they were getting some big investment from Silicon Valley, I was a reference. And when they would call me, before the VCs were going to dump millions and millions of dollars into their project, they didn't ask me, hey, what stacks do they know? Or, none of that stuff. They were asking me about their character. They were asking me about, they wanted to see what the temperament was of the founders, whether they would follow through, whether they you know what I mean? That was more important to him than anything else. I hope that helps. Hey Stefan, how long does it take for a Java developer to learn C++? You could probably do it in a couple of weeks. Get your head wrapped around the basics at least, you know. Start being productive. Depends on you. Okay, we're going to go on. Just purchase your Freelancer course. Hey, I appreciate it, Scotty. Thank you. Walter says, thank you for answering my question. No problem. I'm 40 and feeling the time is running through my fingers since I just started to learn how to code. What is the safest bet to get a job long run, web development or software? Well, web development can be software development, right? Most software development is web development these days, I would argue. I would just stick to the web, and that will open up a bunch of opportunities for you. And you want to go full stack probably, or back end, a lot more opportunities. Don't worry, man. You can get a job within a few months. You can start making bank within a year or two. And if you just properly manage your money, within a short period of time, you could find yourself coasting into a very comfortable retirement. So you're not too old. You're just going to have to, I suggest you get my money course, $20. It's going to really help you that way. Get Lizard Wizard. And we'll put it all together. As long as you have that plan and you execute on it, and when you start making money as a developer, you don't go crazy and buy yourself a BMW, and you start investing and placing your money wisely, you can find yourself in a great position in a short period of time, Mr. Or Mrs. Joanna. I'm not sure. When you develop a program for a client, is it customary to say they cannot resell it, but you retain the rights to sell, or a variation of it? Typically, if you're being hired to develop a piece of software for a client, it's a client software. They're paying you to develop it. It's like when you hire somebody to build your house, they don't own your house, you know. But you know, you can negotiate that maybe. I don't know. Maybe you can say, listen, this would normally cost you 30 grand. I'll build it for you for 5 grand, but I retain the license because I want to resell it to other people. They may go for it. I don't know. I'm just throwing out numbers. Everything is negotiable. But typically, if they pay you top dollar, they own it. Congratulations, Walter. Yeah, all right. Okay, I'm going to be wrapping up the stream because it's an hour and 15 minutes. Thanks for joining. If you like the stream, please do give me a thumbs up. Let your friends know. Yeah, wrestling's a good martial arts. And so many questions. Hello, Stef. Oh yeah, Ruby's fantastic. Discipline. How the heck do I get that? Mr. Some Guy, check link below. Take the Wizard Lizard. That will help you out. One last question. Thank you for your answer, Steph. Another question. If it's possible, what do you think of stuff like Livewire? You know what? I forget what Livewire is. So we'll have to leave it there. So thanks for the stream, guys. Watching the stream. Join the Discord below. We're over 500. We might hit 600 people, especially if some of you guys join. And I'll leave you with my ASMR video from Maine, beautiful place in North America, northeastern U.S. And if you ever get to the U.S., it's one place I would highly recommend you visit in the summertime and the spring. So, all right, talk soon, guys. Bye.